Another task that I had to work on was setting up the security roles for our entire application. So by default, you get a couple users that are automatically inserted into the database, and you have a few different authorities. So you have an admin and a user. So in our case, there is no such thing as just a user. And here's the ticket that I'm talking about that we kind of discussed how authorities were going to work in this application. And basically, we have an admin user, and an admin user can go in and manage everything. They can manage users, locations, events, event attendance, and even runners. And they also get the management console with all of the other things that come into that, like being able to change the log levels, being able to go ahead and view the database, etc. So we may make that a different super user at some point, but for right now, I think they're all the same. Again, we can come back and change that later if we need to. It's pretty easy. Next, we have an organizer, and an organizer can basically manage events. So they can update an event, they can add a new one, and that event will then give us an event code. So basically, only admins and the organizers have access to create events and get event codes. And then finally, we have a runner, and a runner is basically just going to log into the system and add a new event attendance. So if they get to a particular run event, they will log into the system, they'll have the code, and they'll take the code, they'll set the location. They may have a location set for them already as their home location, and they will enter that. So those are the different roles that we're going to be working with, and there's a few things that we need to do to get that to happen. So I will try and add this to the resources, but this is the commit on this with all the changes that were made here, and I just want to go through a few of them. So first off, in the authorities constants, there was basically admin, user, and anonymous. So what we're going to do here is change to admin, organizer, runner, and we'll keep anonymous there. With that, we needed a way to update the default users that were kind of set up for us. So there are these 3 CSV files that get used to create the initial users, authorities, and users' authorities. And in our dev environment, this gets recreated every time. So I made some changes to these as well. I added a runner instead of a user, and then we added an organizer. And again, that organizer can just update or add events. And then finally, users' authorities. Again, we have no user role, so we're just adding admins, runners, and organizers here. So we updated all of those, and that gave us kind of what we needed. We also needed to update the security configuration class here to kind of lock down some things. So what we said is, all right, for events, we need to make sure that they have an authority of admin or organizer. And then for location, event attendance, and runners, we basically gave them the admin event. So that kind of locks the API down. Now, that's just one side of it. There's also a UI side of it. So let's go ahead and take a look at that as well. So I have this navbar component. And inside this navbar component, there is a JHI has any authority. And so if you want to use multiple authorities, you got to put them in these brackets. And so basically what I'm saying here is that to view any of these, they're either going to be a role, admin, or organizer. As far as something like locations, only admin can see that, so I changed that there. And then for events, we have admin and organizer. Now again, this just is locking down whether or not we should show the actual menu. Now somebody could still type in the actual URL there and get to it. So there's something else that we need to do. And if you go into entities, and for something like location, which is admin only, you need to go into the route file. And for all of the different routes, you can kind of specify what the authorities are. In this case, they're all just admin, so you can do that. You can change them all to admin here. Quick tip, if you're in IntelliJ, you can easily hit Control-G and start to select all of them and then just change it there. So that's what I did inside of that route. Now events, on the other hand, have 2 authorities, right? We can either be an admin or an organizer. So again, you just need to make sure you have a list of them here. So here's role organizer and role admin, and that's for everything in here. And that's kind of the UI side. Let's look at here and see what else we did. So there's our constants. When we create a user, so there is no more user authority. So when we create a user, we want the default role to be a runner. So we did that. We changed that in the create user, which was in the user service. Don't care about that. Port. So again, those are the CSV files. Those are all the routes. And those are the navigation items. So that's about it. So now if we come over here, let's go ahead and log out. If I go ahead and sign as an organizer, so organizer, all I have is one screen here, admin, and I can get to events and do anything in events that I need to do. If I go ahead and log out and I sign in as an admin, I have the ability to update any of these. So I can come into locations, I can come into events, event attendance, and runners. And finally, if I log in as a runner, then I don't have anything here. There's no admin screen. So basically what's going to happen with a runner, and we're going to do this later here in the course, something on this home page, we're going to have some kind of section here. If you log in as a runner, you're going to be on the home page and you're going to basically want to log your attendance for the event that you're at. So you might have a home location, a default location when you sign up, and that's going to come up automatically, and you're just going to enter your event code and submit it, and then that'll kind of log you in and say that you were at that event, and you'll accumulate points from there, and we'll have a leaderboard and everything like that. So that's kind of next. I'm working through those tasks, but that is the security rules task. So if you have any questions about what we did here, please let me know. With that, let's go ahead and move on.